Okay, in the video tonight, what I'd like to go over is water filtration and what I've learned over the summer using the Sawyer Mini. And that is the Sawyer Mini that I use, not the Sawyer Squeeze. Not to have anything against the Sawyer Squeeze or anything, it just happens to be what I do carry. And I do carry it along with a homemade carbon filter. And I do keep, after I make sure the insides are completely dry, I seal it off with just fingers of a latex glove with rubber bands around. Because carbon just absorbs everything. The reason I use that is the creek I follow to get to my bug out location weaves its way through, say, agriculture. It's all farming land. There's crop dusters that spray at, I guess, their designated times a year. I don't necessarily know what they're spraying, but I'm sure it lands in the water and there's runoff. So that's why I do carry that. I do carry refill for it. The little carbon that I carry here is actually sealed in its own bag, then again sealed in this Ziploc bag, and I can refill this carbon filter at least 2 times, and I have some additional pads here. Now, as far as those pads go, I just simply went to Petco and got Allergy Pads, and that keeps the carbon from actually flowing out either end of the nipple, and that's all it's for. It's really not for filtering. It just keeps the carbon, because this is a very, very fine, there again, aquarium carbon, and I don't want it just running out. So this is more to block the carbon in or hold it in. And also on this situation, you don't have to worry about labeling in and out, because you can run it 2 or 4, and you really shouldn't matter because you're running it after your Sawyer. So all the small particulates the Sawyer should have taken out, and this should hopefully take out most, if not all, your chemicals. And so far I've used it through the spring. We're moving into fall now. Now, along with my water purification, I do carry backup tablets per se, and I've actually used these in conjunction with the carbon filter. Greatly improves the end result. This is simply a tarp clip with a length of paracord on it, and what I do with this is I almost always set up a drip system with my Sawyer Squeeze, because I leave with 3 bottles, and each bottle holds 24 ounces of water. Now I'm following a creek, so I don't really have to worry too much about water, although the creek does kind of get into some shallow shoals, and that's more what I'd like to talk about tonight, because the Sawyer Mini only comes with a 16-ounce bag. And if you think about it, if you're hiking, you're out of water, sure, you can use the straw, you can drink out of the creek, and you can lay there and just drink water until you die. If you decide you want to fill this bag, that's great, but it's 16 ounces. But if you're like me, most of the meals you're about to try to consume, or you're gonna have to rehydrate them. And you know, at the end of the day, your water bottle's empty. You've got to rehydrate your food. You've got to rehydrate yourself, and 16 ounces of water is not going to do it unless you do it repetitively. So I'm not crazy. I really wish they would give you a 32-ounce bag with the Sawyer Mini, but you get what you get, and it's not a bad price. Originally, when I got this, I just knew it wasn't going to be enough, so I actually got a 5-gallon bladder. Served me well this summer, but we're going into winter, and I'm not going to need so much hydration. And I've started looking to lighten the load, because I've got to increase the load because I got to carry winter bedding. So I bought a 3-pack of the 32-ounce Sawyer bladders, and they're really reasonably priced. I think I only paid like $8 or $9 at Academy Sports for these. I could be wrong, but when you increase the size of the bag, you increase how much air is in the bag. So when you try to put a bandana over it to pre-filter it, the back of the bag tends to want to float up, and it makes it really hard to fill, and almost impossible if your source is very shallow. So of course I know to blow in it and fill it up and then try to scoop water, but if you do that and it's shallow enough and you're trying to hold the bandana over it, hold the back in so it doesn't float up, and you stand it up, chances are you're only going to be filled to about 2/3 of this bag. And I wanted a way, and I kind of struggled with it the first 2 times I went out, and then I remember seeing an article from Hiram Cook, and he talked about a little device, invention, apparatus, whatever you want to call it, called a tornado tube that he used on his Sawyer squeeze. Watch out, Mama Kitty. Now these can be found at Hobby Lobby, online. I'm sure they can be found on Amazon, but Hobby Lobby stocks them. They're $2.99. They come in different colors. I just picked up a clear one. I like clear because I can see if it's getting funky or dirty. He mentioned that he had a problem with his squeeze, that it was a little bit too long, and he cut off about 3 millimeters off each end, which I decided to do just right off the bat. The only problem I had before I cut them off is that it barely touched this little ring right here, and I was afraid it wasn't going to make a good seal, so I went ahead and made the cut. Now on the other end, watch out, Mama Kitty. This is what I've come up with, is use a smart water bottle or anything with a coarse thread pitch, and using the tornado tube, it'll screw right on. Screws right on, and what this will let you do is, in a shallow creek or stream, is use it like a funnel. Now the first one I actually made was a little bit taller. Not sure if y'all can see that. It was a little taller, and I used a sock, and I held the sock in. Well, it was still terribly two-handed. So here I've actually shortened the scoop, and I discovered these same round pads I had made for my charcoal filter fit very snugly in the neck of the bottle as a pre-filter. So now you just screw it on. The pre-filtering is being taken care of by the Allergy Pad, and you can actually scoop into water and actually get 32 ounces of water in this bag without much trouble at all. Now this is not going to probably help a lot of people that, you know, you're thinking, well, every place I go is deep. It's creeks, deep creeks, ponds, rivers, waterfalls, where you can actually get this, you know, submerged. But if you coming over ripples over rocks, and like I say, do not dig into the rocks, because you're going to dig up silt that can pass by this, and it would pass by your bandana also, or the sock. So I'm not saying that you can use it as a dredge, but I am saying that you can use it to capture water and actually fill a 32-ounce water bladder to its capacity, and then simply cap it off, grab your next one. Because if you're like me, at the end of the day, you have at least probably 2 water bottles to fill. You've got to reconstitute your mountain house. You may want to do a little bit of cleanup afterwards, and may prefer to use clean water. water is key. I mean, water is absolutely key. A lot of people talk about it, and I think they just try to put it in a box that you need water to stay alive. Well, you need water to stay alive. You need water to cook with. You're going to need water to clean up. You're going to need, actually, it's best to use clean water to clean up with, so that, you know, you're eliminating all the bacterial chances that could, you know, give you anything that, you know, that's going to make you sick. So gathering water is very, very important. And gathering and replenishing clean water source, very important. And the faster and more simply you can do that, is the better off you're going to be. Not saying this is good for everybody. Again, it's something I'm playing with. So far I've been happy with. You know, even if you don't like this, maybe it sparked a better idea. If you've got a better idea to modify this, hit me up with it. And, you know, I'm all about getting better ideals. It's all about ideals and how to make surviving in the wild easier and more pleasant and actually safer. So with that said, you know, take it for what it's worth. And it's about bedtime, so I'm going to bed. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all for watching.